The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. We are back. The Mets in the zone. I'm Ralph Tyko with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. The two Met mavens are here. Marty Rose, how are you, Mert?
Very good, Ralph. Very good. Thank you.
And Robert Cole, how are you?
Very good, Ralph.
Good. I got a lot of feedback on your behalf for that history lesson on last week's podcast about Walter O'Malley and nothing that we didn't know, but I was just looking for a way to put him in a good light. Not a good light, that's an impossibility, but shine a little brightness in there somewhere. The only thing we came up with was Campy's game, where he filled the Coliseum with a whole bunch of people and honored Roy Campanella, and the proceeds for the night went to Roy Campanella. Nothing else in the man's life is a glimmer of good things, or did I miss something?
Well, it depends which coast you're on, Ralph. Like I said last week, you talk to people in Los Angeles, okay, and it's a whole different story. I think you're familiar with Linda Wilson. Linda would tell you a whole different story than I'm telling you. Walter O'Malley is a saint, and Walter O'Malley brought baseball to the West Coast, and they would never have gotten Major League Baseball on the West Coast without Walter O'Malley, which is another crock, but that's another story.
It is a crock because when they expanded, were it not for the Giants and Dodgers out there, they would have gone with the two teams on the Pacific Coast in the Pacific Coast League, the Seals and somebody from the Angels or whoever it was that was bigger in the coast in those days in Southern California.
Well, like I said last week, it was the intent to put the whole Pacific Coast League in as a third major league. And if you look now, okay, of the teams that are in the major leagues, okay, on the West Coast, they were all in the Pacific Coast League.
Right.
San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Arizona. All these teams were in the Pacific Coast League, and they would have fit seamlessly as a third major league.
Right, and you could add Portland to that. They may yet get a team. They may get the A's or someone else. They're a big city, a big market. Although, what a struggling city on different levels, Portland, what with what's going on in the United States. But we won't talk about that. But I understand what you're saying. It depends on your perspective, but our perspective, the three of us, will always be a 10 or an 11-year-old kid losing his or her team. And that you can't put a price tag on how negative that is. You can't quantify that on how that sucks to lose your team as a kid. That's all.
Yeah, well, not only us kids, but think about our parents. Our fathers and our grandfathers who followed those teams their entire lives. We only had, as 10-year-olds, we only really had like 4 or 5 years. But, our parents and grandparents, in some cases great-grandparents, their entire life, they were a Brooklyn Dodger or New York Giant fan.
Yeah. Well, how about this? Wouldn't it have been great, I'll let Marty respond to this, if we could have seen Willie in his prime in our early years as fans? Because we were just coming into it intellectually. We couldn't appreciate how great he was other than that World Series catch. We didn't get to see him day to day all that often before he moved, and we were still kids. Am I right, Mert?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like I had mentioned once before, I think the first recollection of me actually watching baseball with my father was that '54 World Series, because he was a Giants fan. And, you know, he's saying, come here, watch this, look at this, this is this guy, this is that guy, you know. And, yeah, I saw that. I saw that. I mean, I don't remember.
On the color television set from somebody on the first floor of your building.
Not that. No, that was too early. That was way too early. The first color TV set was a neighbor in the building. And the first game I saw on the color TV was the Yankees-Braves World Series.
57.
57 or maybe 58. I don't remember which one. But, yeah, I had a friend on the third floor. His name was Philip Benson, I think. And this guy with the color TV was his next-door neighbor. So it was like a bachelor living with his father in the apartment. And after school, because we did still have, they played those games in the afternoon then, we came home from school and knocked on the door. I remember the first time I saw that, it was like, I couldn't believe it. Never saw such green. Used to black and white, and that's it. That's all you ever saw. I remember that first time that I saw color TV, it was a baseball game with the green grass. Unbelievable.
Wow. Great memories.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you again, Robert, for last week and clarifying for me and putting it into perspective that, it's what you're looking at that decides and that's not just with this, that's in life, where you're coming from, what perspective, what's your history, and what have you. I still say he's the son of a bitch. O'Malley.
You will get an argument on my part.
Oh, okay. Thought I'd put a little bit of a twist on both the Met show and the Yankee show with Jack DeGraw and Robert Denninger, as I'm assuming you both don't follow the Yankees all that closely. But as casual baseball fans, give me your impression of what's going on with the Yankees. I'm going to have Darren.
Well, Robert's seen them more than I have because he watches the Tampa games. So.
Okay, then let me start with this question. When you listen to their announcers, Susan, what's her last name? I can't think of it.
Walden.
Susan Walden, who brought Yogi back into the fold with Steinbrenner. She's directly responsible for that, and I think that was great having Yogi as where he should have been for the final years of his life.
Yeah. She doesn't do any of the play-by-play though.
She just kibitzes.
Yeah, Sterling does the play-by-play on the radio, and she gives the scores and makes comments and stuff like that. But
it's not a traditional way of getting one's baseball fix, but I find it enjoyable. It's like listening to people talk about a game. And Sterling happens to be very well informed.
Oh yeah.
And as is she. The style is absolutely unusual, to say the least, for major league announcers. But I enjoy it as background, and
they're both older than us too.
Yes,
they're both older than us.
Yeah.
That's impossible.
Listening to them do a game is like listening to my grandmother and grandfather discussing a game back in Brooklyn.
Right. Well, it's different but comfortable. That's the best way. Comfortable on the ear. What gets me is that they never disagree on anything. I've never heard a disagreement. They just have a way of either they realize that a baseball argument can go either way generally. So,
but when they're losing, I mean, you could tell just the way he speaks is just you could tell he's not into. He's sad. He really doesn't like what he's seeing. It's
right.
like it's so down.
Yes. Yes.
He really, not like the guys we're used to listening to, who are
he never changes.
No
matter what it is.
Right. You're right.
They could lose the game 1-0 on a triple play in the last inning with the bases loaded, and he'll go, well, the Lipton tea thing, we'll be back, and found another way of losing. But there's a guy, you talk about history.
Yep.
Whoa, what a memory. I don't get to see them on TV much, so I don't get to see Gary and Ron Darling.
Keith and Ron, Keith.
Yeah, they're what I see of them. Keith is incredibly honest for a guy around baseball.
He's very honest. Yeah.
Yeah, he lets you know it. And
Ron Darling could be the best analyst out there. I mean, just knows everything.
Yeah.
But the three of them are very open, and if a mistake is made, even if it benefits the Mets, they let you know about it. They holler and about an umpire's call.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very enjoyable to listen to, and they're very even-handed. Let's say.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice to have them or a facsimile of them on the Mets bench? Imagine Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling down there. And it's happened before with Jerry Coleman comes to mind with San Diego. He was announcing the games, and all of a sudden he's hired as manager by Ray Kroc, and spent a year or so as the manager. So that
Keith likes his time off,
Right.
Keith, he loves his time off. I mean, he loves doing what he does, but he needs his days off too. Yeah.
It reminds me of Phil Rizzuto. Remember, Rizzuto used to leave in the 7th inning so he could get out of the rush.
No traffic on the GW.
Phil Rizzuto's running down his scorecard one day and came to WW, and his co-announcer asked him, "What's WW?" He says, "Wasn't watching."
Yeah.
I
remember that. Yeah, that was great.
Also, speaking of Keith, I play it a lot. It's on YouTube, and just for my enjoyment. One of the perfect comedy bits of all time is on Seinfeld with Keith Hernandez and the recreation of the Kennedy Magic Lugo
Yes.
Oh God, that's good. The writing on that is like Who's on First type classic comedy writing by those two, Larry David and Seinfeld. But hey, run down the Yankees for me a little bit. Start with you, Mert. Whatever you know, whatever you don't know, your impressions. Will Cashman be there next year? Will Boone be there? Will they make a move? Will they trade Judge? All these questions.
Yeah, I like I say, I don't follow them that closely. Obviously, their payroll is like I don't know, like about $40 million or more less than the Dodgers. So that's unusual for them right there. Considering I saw, I think somewhere today that the Dodgers payroll was like around $248, $249, and the team is worth $2.5 billion, but the Yankees are worth $5 billion, and their payroll is only about 205 to 210, something like that. And,
that's a horrible stat to compare it to. They're worth that much, but it's not liquid money. It has nothing to do with liquidity, and what they're worth is totally subjective.
Yeah, I think they want to stay. They want to stay under the cap, whatever the cap is, so they don't have to pay the tax. That's where it's at. But I don't know. They don't seem to have that life. The couple of times I've seen them, the other day I look at the lineup, and Stanton and Judge aren't even in the lineup.
Judge is always brittle. He's
neither of them.
Week here or week there. Stanton as well.
The pitchers are being singled out as a couple of these guys that use the sticky stuff. That's been said. They got injuries. The center fielder's been out the whole year. Gardner is slowing down. They got some good young guys, but I don't know. Even Chapman seems to be blowing up lately when he's in there. So.
He's no familiar.
Well, let's not talk about that. But before we're done tonight, I want to talk about that game yesterday. That for sure.
Okay, Robert, your impressions of the Yankees? They don't have to be factual. They just have to be what you think is happening.
Well, it's not the Yankees. It's not the Yankees that we've become accustomed to, that baseball's been accustomed to. You look around the field, there's not really, there's some talent there, but it's not that same blend of players that they've had in the past. There's no real go-to guy. Judge was supposed to be the guy. Originally Gary Sanchez was supposed to be the guy. Gary Sanchez can't even get over 200. Judge and Stanton can't stay in the lineup. They're hurt every other day. And there's really no continuity. You look on a Monday and then you look on a Wednesday and there's totally different guys in there, because of injuries and stuff. The Mets have had more injuries, but the Mets have been able to seamlessly bring all these different guys in, and they come in and they play. That has not been the case with the Yankees.
Let's segue to two guys on the Mets who really have been given an opportunity. One of them is McKinney, who's doing tremendously well, and the other one is Guillerme, who's just off an injury. And he made another great play today. This guy's got, at second, another pivot. He's the real thing. And I'm just wondering if McKinney may make the Mets think that Conforto isn't worth going after or keeping or whatever, trading him and solidifying that pitching staff that the starters, I mean, Carrasco, I mean, it's the injuries. It's not the Thor, Carrasco. They could use a fourth and fifth starter. Might they consider trading Conforto because of McKinney's the impression he's making? Robert?
Well, it's funny. I was thinking about that very thing about Conforto, before we came on the air. And I think a lot has to do with if the Mets don't feel that they can sign him. Okay, that yes, I can see very definitely that they would possibly try to trade him in a package and get some things that they need. I don't think it's so much McKinney. McKinney, I believe, is like 29 or 30, so he's not a young guy, although he could be a late bloomer. But, they certainly have the pieces right now that they could make that trade for this year and see what happens.
Yeah. Dom Smith may be another one that is best suited for the American League, certainly defensively, although he's improved. Give him that. Marty?
Yeah, well, I think, I'm pretty sure that we're going to have the DH next year. So that, I wouldn't be getting rid of Dom because of that. I'm relatively certain that that's going to be in the new agreement. Everybody's mentioned it.
Right.
But as far as Conforto goes, I was never that high on him. And, considering all the time he's already lost this year, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people ready to shell out multi-year big money. So I think they could possibly, and we've mentioned this before, give him the qualifying offer and see if he takes it. And then he'll have another year, if he stays healthy, to prove that he deserves a longer deal. McKinney, I don't know if he's a flash in the pan. Obviously, he's looked very good. He's looked good in the field. He's hit pretty well. He's hit. They just flashed it. He's hitting .302 in 13 games with the Mets. And he hit .207 with the Brewers. So I don't know how that happens, unless he just didn't play every day for the Brewers, like he's playing every day here. It could be something.
That does make a difference, getting your timing and what have you. And if you're going to get a chance, it's got to be every day. If you're going to judge a guy, you got to play him every day to make a decision. Villar has been terrific.
Oh, he's been great. Very good. I mean, I think we talked about this before, that he's so much better at third than Davis. Oh, my God, it's not even close.
And their overall defense has been incredibly better.
It has.
Even though offensively he's off to a bad start, he's starting to pick it up, Lindor, but he never takes that into the field with him.
No.
That's what I appreciate about him. And he's always got that infectious smile going. And, if this turns out to be a great year, you could see little signs of it along the way. McCann coming along. I think Alonso is a pretty damn good fielder. That's part of it. this guy ranges towards second, and he's got good hands at first, which you don't see many big power hitters who give a rat's ass about the defense, and I like that. It'll be interesting to see what Dougie Flynn does when he comes back. What's his name? McNeil. He'll always be Dougie Flynn to me.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you guys the story? I probably told it 1,000 times of when the Mets traded Seaver, and they had Flynn at second, and they were out in San Francisco to play the Giants. And I always thought that Flynn was a better shortstop than Tavares. So, big mouth that I had, I found out where the Mets were staying when they were in San Francisco, and I called Joe Torre's room, and I spoke to him for a few minutes. And I said, hey, you're a fellow New Yorker, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. I said, have you ever considered playing Flynn at shortstop? Brass balls for a 23-year-old guy who knows nothing about it. But I did, and I don't remember the date I called, or I could probably pick up the box score in one of these retroactive things, but damned if he didn't play Flynn at shortstop the next day.
Really?
I don't remember if he benched Tavares or put Tavares at second, but he just kind of humored me when I said it. Yeah, okay. But Flynn played short probably for the first time as a Met that very next day. Brass balls is what you got to have in this world. Very
okay,
nice,
now did they win the next day?
I have no idea. I would bet no. If you always bet no, you'll make a lot of money with this team. 50 years worth of experience will tell you that. And by the way, I'm not, as Marty knows, my Jones is not gambling. Thank God.
No, right.
Let's put it that way, because as a kid, I was, oh yeah, you want to bet? Or whatever. That first instantaneous response, and we got to see the bear in action along those lines.
Oh, God,
and
bad habit, yes.
Bad habit to get into. And it just, you're backing up your own ego and what have you. So.
Oh, by the way, Ralph, they're legalizing it in Florida in the fall, sports betting.
Oh.
Are they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I didn't hear that.
You didn't hear that? Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah, the Indians are going to run most of it, I think. That's how they get away with it. But I assume that you'll be able to do it online. You don't just have to go to one of the hotels to do it. Because they want to
I got to interject. They're Native Americans, not Indians. Just in case they want to buy my upcoming book. I don't want to insult anybody.
Oh, I thought Marty was talking about the Cleveland Indians. I'm sorry.
The Seminoles.
Right. I have a solution for the moniker problem in sports with the Washington Redskins and what have you. Make it the Cleveland Redskins and the Washington Indians, just to fuck with them.
By the way, 3-0 Mets. If you're not watching.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How'd they score? That's terrific.
Rippy single by McCann and 2 two-ribby double by Pilar. So.
Okay.
Yeah. And Peterson's pitching well.
Yeah, McKinney almost had his legs taken out on a foul ball just before the base hit. I don't know if you saw that.
I don't ever get to see anything. I just listen to Howie, and and maybe that's best. So, hey, we're running up against it. Mert, Robert, great show.
Let me mention this one thing about yesterday,
please.
Ralph. I'm on a lot of social media, Facebook and Twitter, both. And I can't believe the number of uninformed Met fans that was screaming about Rojas with the pitching yesterday. I mean, maybe they weren't paying attention, but Diaz, Loop, Lugo, and Castro were all unavailable. Okay? Why did they try to pitch Familia in the second inning? Because they basically had nobody else. They were hoping he would get through that second inning. But my problem was, though, that, and I know it's an organizational decision, not to let Lucchesi go through the lineup for the third time. But considering how well he was pitching yesterday through 6 innings, and all those guys unavailable in the bullpen, don't you think they should have let him continue for another inning? I do. I mean, the guy was pitching great. I just don't get it.
Well, I agree with you 100%. But
do they have it set up on automatic, what, the pitch count? Or, like you say, going through the lineup for the third time? And are they totally unflexible based on the day? These guys aren't just statistics that you average out over a full year. They're day-to-day.
Yeah.
A little hip is bothering me. You look in the pitcher's eye. You see what's going on. It's impossible to judge a manager based on his pitching decisions when we're, as a fan, we're not down there to see what's happening. Yeah. We don't know that the guy's just not concentrating tonight because he just had a fight with his wife and he can't get the ball over the plate.
Well, maybe that's why Villar wasn't in the lineup yesterday. They called it a family matter, but we don't know anything else.
Right.
Maybe when they look at it and they have SUV come in, they'll find out there's one less member of his family. And they'll discover that, and he'll be buried in the back, and we'll have realistic TV to watch, and Villar's name, something to do in the winter,
No, he's back out there today. He's out there today.
Oh, good. Well, good.
At least Villar was smart enough not to do it in front of cameras.
Yeah.
You got to give him some credit. That's for sure. All right, guys. This is terrific. I value your time, guys, and our time together.
Fun.
It is indeed. And if the audience is having as much fun as we have, or a fraction of the amount, I'm going to plug something I rarely do these days, and I wonder why. Please bundle up, box up a bunch of lightly used children's books and take them over to the Head Start on our behalf. Just kids that need a passion, they need to read, they need preschool stuff. Starts with books and what you're reading. And if you do that, show a little appreciation for the entire network, and help out your community. Wherever you are, there's a Head Start program that can always use books. And that's my spiel. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Marty. We'll be back next week. Sure as shooting.
Good night.
Okay. Good night, Robert. Good night, Marty. Thanks for listening, everybody. Adios and happy trails.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.